Well, hello, everybody. The Executive Director and CEO of the American Nuclear Society. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to this very special panel featuring 5 former heads of DOE's nuclear energy programs.
From all the panelists, I believe Dr. Magwood's comments were the most important to our group. Take a listen.
Is recognize that government is a very complicated machine, but it's a machine that you can operate. There are levers to pull, there are buttons to push. And if you understand how to operate the machine, you can be very successful. But it's complicated, and you have to recognize and I think Craig Piercy asked me, what was the surprise you learned? I think for me, the biggest surprise was finding out that a low-level person in the right position could stop everything you're working on. No matter how powerful you think you are, there could be a GS-12 somewhere with just the right position, the right responsibility that could stop progress, and you have to work through that. And I was also asked to give advice to the future, and I think the advice I would give to the next Assistant Secretary of Nuclear Energy is to move quickly, because it takes a long time to do these things, but you don't have a long time to work. The way we are set up, if you don't get things really underway substantially in basically 2.5 years, you're not going to get it done. If you have a 5-year plan, forget it. It's not going to happen. It won't work. You got to have a 3-year plan. So my biggest piece of advice is figure out what you can get done in 3 years, be bold, and go fight like hell to get it to happen. That's my biggest piece of advice. But let me say this. The most important thing to say about nuclear waste is that it is not a crisis. The nuclear waste is safe where it is. We can work with it right where it is for a significant period of time while we decide what we're going to do. So to me, that's the most important thing to say. Next, I would say that from the time that I have worked with Nuclear Energy Agency, we have had a very vigorous conversation with countries around the world about how to proceed with siting nuclear waste sites. And I think the lesson that I've learned from that is something that the Blue Ribbon Commission that John was executive director for years ago concluded, that if you don't have a consent-based process, you're doomed. You may not be doomed today, but you'll be doomed tomorrow. And I think that is what we need. I think that the question that you're asking is really almost the wrong question. We don't have a process yet. So until we have a consent process to work with communities around the country to find a location, we're not going to make any progress. But I also would say that another piece of the answer is to get it out of DOE. I'm absolutely convinced as long as the nuclear waste program is appropriated and is in the system of the federal government, that it will never succeed. I think you have to move it out. And when you look at what people around the world have done that have worked, it's almost always private sector driven, outside of the normal ministry processes. And I think that's what we will have to do. And it may take a while. I'm not sure today we're ready to do that. We might need to take a bit of a breather first, and then to get away from our current situation. But we have to have a consent-based process, and we have to have another way of implementing the program.